I'll never forget the call I received about my dear friend Margaret. At 73, she was the picture of active retirement, a former school principal from Minnesota with a zest for life that inspired everyone around her. Last Thursday night, she went to sleep as usual in her cozy bedroom. By Friday morning, she was gone. Her daughter found her, looking peaceful, as if she'd simply drifted off. The family was devastated, completely blindsided. Just the day before, Margaret had been baking cookies with her great-grandchildren, planning her community garden, and showing off brochures for an upcoming cruise. When the medical report came back, it suggested that certain nighttime patterns likely contributed to her passing. You see, what many of us don't realize is that after we reach 70, those simple bedtime habits we've practiced for decades can become surprisingly dangerous. Those final hours before sleep, what you do, how you position yourself, even the temperature of your room, could be silently putting your health at risk. If you're over 60 like me, please share your hometown in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel too. The information I'm about to share might just save your life or the life of someone you love. The first habit might shock you. It's something I myself did every night for years without realizing the danger I was putting myself in. Now, let me share what I've learned since Margaret's passing. Habit 1. Sleeping in a position that puts your heart at risk. I've always slept on my back. It's comfortable, and it's what I've done for 70 years. Why change now? That's what my neighbor Frank told me when I first mentioned this to him. I completely understand that feeling. Most of us never think twice about how we position ourselves in bed. But here's what changed Frank's mind. Our bodies at 70 aren't the same as they were at 40 or 50. Those muscles that keep our airways open have weakened with time. Our chest doesn't expand quite like it used to. Our lung capacity might be down by almost a third. Even our blood vessels have become less flexible, more like old garden hoses than the supple tubes of our youth. These changes mean that how we position our bodies during sleep can literally be a matter of life and death. I saw this firsthand with my friend Dorothy, a 78-year-old retired librarian who lived down the street from me in Denver. For as long as I'd known her, Dorothy slept flat on her back. "It's best for my spine," she'd insist. Her husband Robert would roll his eyes and whisper to me, "The snoring is like a freight train." And sometimes she stops breathing altogether for a few seconds. Scares me half to death. When Dorothy started having terrible morning headaches and could barely keep her eyes open past lunch, her daughter finally convinced her to see a specialist. The doctor's face was grave as he reviewed her sleep study results. "Mrs. Williams," he said gently, "you're stopping breathing 52 times every hour during the night. Your heart is working overtime when it should be resting. This isn't just about feeling tired. You're at serious risk for a stroke." Her cardiologist later confirmed that this nightly oxygen deprivation had already affected her heart, causing an irregular rhythm that significantly increased her stroke risk. All from something as simple as sleeping position. So what's the solution? For most of us over 70, sleeping on our left side is best. It maximizes oxygen flow, takes pressure off our hearts, and even helps our digestive systems process those evening medications more efficiently. I know what you're thinking. I've been a back sleeper for decades too. The trick is to transition gradually. Start by lying on your side and placing a firm pillow behind your back to prevent rolling. Put a medium firm pillow between your knees to relieve hip pressure. If your shoulder aches when you try side sleeping, mine certainly did at first, try slightly elevating the head of your bed about 6 inches. I propped mine up with some old books under the mattress before investing in an adjustable base, and it made all the difference. Within just 3 nights of changing my sleeping position, I noticed I wasn't waking up with that familiar foggy feeling anymore. After 2 weeks, my daughter commented that I seemed sharper, more present in our conversations. Habit 2. Making your bedroom too cozy and warm. "But I'm always cold." That's what my sister Jean protested when I suggested she lower her thermostat at night. At 76, she keeps her bedroom what I'd call tropical during winter, around 78 degrees. I understand completely. As we've gotten older, many of us do feel colder. Our circulation isn't what it used to be, and those metabolic changes make us reach for the thermostat. What feels like a simple comfort, though, might actually be putting our hearts in danger while we sleep. You see, our bodies have changed in how they handle temperature. That internal thermostat in our brain, the hypothalamus, doesn't work quite as efficiently anymore. Our skin has thinned, making us feel chilly during the day. But here's the paradox. These same changes make it harder for our bodies to cool down during sleep. The cooling mechanisms that worked perfectly in our 50s now struggle when our bedrooms are too warm. My friend Elizabeth, we call her Lizzie, learned this lesson the hard way. At 74, this retired teacher kept her bedroom toasty warm all winter. "I can't bear feeling cold at night," she'd say. But Lizzie was waking up exhausted every morning, and what scared her most were the heart palpitations she'd started experiencing. When she mentioned this to her doctor, he surprised her with his advice. "Try lowering your bedroom temperature." Her doctor explained that her overheated bedroom was forcing her heart to work overtime all night, trying to cool her body when it should be resting. Skeptical but desperate, Lizzie tried reducing her thermostat to 66 degrees Fahrenheit. She didn't give up her comfort. She just switched to lightweight, breathable layers she could adjust easily. Within 10 days, those frightening palpitations had nearly disappeared, and she told me over coffee, "I haven't felt this rested since I retired." Sleep specialists recommend keeping our bedrooms between 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. During summer, aim for the cooler end if you can, and in winter, resist the urge to crank up the heat. Adjust your bedding instead. I've found that cotton or bamboo sheets under a lightweight down comforter give me that cozy feeling without overheating. My husband and I now use separate blankets since he runs warmer than I do. Such a simple solution that's improved our sleep tremendously. The benefits go beyond just sleeping better. Many of my friends in our senior community have reported lower morning blood pressure readings after making this change. Clara, who's battled high blood pressure for years, was able to reduce one of her medications after 3 weeks of sleeping in a cooler bedroom. Habit 3. Enjoying those late evening meals. But the early bird special is for old people. My friend Jack always jokes when I suggest eating dinner earlier. At 75, he still prides himself on living like he did in his 50s, including those satisfying late dinners after watching his favorite evening programs. But what I've learned since turning 70 is that our digestive systems have their own timetable now, one that doesn't align with late night eating. By 70, our stomach acid production has decreased by almost a third, making it harder to break down proteins properly. Our digestive tract moves food through much more slowly, sometimes taking twice as long as it did when we were younger. Even our metabolism has downshifted, making it harder to process calories while we're resting. These natural changes mean that what used to be a simple late dinner can now become a real health hazard during sleep. I think about my friend Thomas often when this topic comes up. At 77, this retired accountant loved nothing more than enjoying a full dinner around 8:45 p.m. after watching his evening news and game shows. But then he started experiencing these mysterious coughing episodes at night. Sometimes they were so severe he'd wake up gasping for breath, frightening his wife terribly. When he finally saw his doctor, they discovered his late dining habits were causing silent reflux during sleep. Stomach contents were actually getting into his airways while he slept. His doctor explained that this wasn't just disrupting his sleep, it was putting him at risk for aspiration pneumonia. one of the leading reasons seniors end up in the hospital. The American Geriatric Society suggests we should finish our last substantial meal at least 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. For most of us who turn in around 10:30 or 11, that means dinner should be finished by 7 p.m. If you're dealing with diabetes, heart issues, or reflux problems like Thomas was, even earlier is better. Aim for 6 p.m. Now, I know what you're thinking. The same thing I thought. But I'll be hungry later. You don't need to go to bed with a growling stomach. If dinner must happen later, choose lighter options. I've found that baked fish with steamed vegetables digests much more easily than the pot roast I used to enjoy. For those inevitable evening hunger pangs, I keep sleep-friendly snacks handy. Half a banana with a teaspoon of almond butter, a small handful of walnuts, or my personal favorite, a warm cup of chamomile tea with a rice cake. My friend Mildred, who still enjoys her weekly bridge club dinners that often run late, found a clever solution. She uses a wedge pillow that elevates her upper body about 6 inches when she sleeps. This simple change uses gravity to help keep stomach contents where they belong, reducing her reflux risk even after those special social evenings. Within days of moving my dinner earlier, that uncomfortable pressure in my chest at night disappeared completely. My friend Harold saw his morning blood sugar reading stabilize within just a week of making this change. Habit 4. Drinking too much before bedtime. 8 glasses a day, no matter what. That's what my mother always preached about water, and I've faithfully followed her advice for decades. It's excellent guidance. Staying hydrated is crucial for our health. But what I've learned recently is that when we drink those 8 glasses matters tremendously after we turn 70. Finding the right balance between proper hydration and avoiding those nighttime bathroom trips isn't just about convenience anymore. It could literally save your life. Let me share what happens in our bodies as we age. Our bladder capacity decreases by about 1/3. It simply can't hold as much as it used to. Our kidneys don't concentrate urine as efficiently during sleep. And perhaps most importantly, the signals between our bladder and brain become less reliable, creating that sudden urgency that gives us barely any warning. The dangers go far beyond just interrupted sleep. Each time we get up at night to use the bathroom, we're taking a significant risk. When we wake from deep sleep, our blood pressure hasn't had time to adjust before we stand, creating that dizzy, lightheaded feeling doctors call orthostatic hypotension. In that vulnerable moment, a fall becomes much more likely. My neighbor Robert learned this lesson through painful experience. At 76, this retired construction manager prided himself on staying well hydrated, often drinking several glasses of water in the evening to catch up if he'd been busy during the day. Despite having installed all the recommended safety features, grab bars, night lights, a clear path to the bathroom, he took a terrible fall during a 3 a.m. bathroom trip. That broken wrist changed everything for him. If I'd known that when I drank was as important as how much I could have avoided all this, he told me during one of my visits to help with his physical therapy exercises. Working with his doctor, Robert adjusted his fluid intake pattern, focusing on morning and early afternoon hydration, then tapering off after 6 p.m. The change was remarkable. Within 2 weeks, his nighttime bathroom trips decreased from 5 times to just once, significantly reducing his fall risk while keeping him properly hydrated. The key is finding that balance. Dehydration creates its own serious problems for us seniors. The goal isn't to eliminate fluids, but to time them strategically. Here's what's worked for me and many of my friends. Focus on front-loading your hydration, getting about 70% of your daily fluids before 2 p.m. Then gradually decrease as evening approaches. If you take medications requiring water in the evening, Use just enough to swallow the pills comfortably. Usually about 2 ounces is plenty. What you drink in the evening matters enormously too. I learned to avoid alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime. It increases urine production while reducing our awareness of bladder signals. Caffeine in any form after 2 p.m. stimulates both the bladder and brain. Instead, if I'm thirsty in the evening, I enjoy a small cup of warm herbal tea like chamomile, or a few sips of tart cherry juice, which actually helps promote healthy sleep. For those nights when bathroom trips are inevitable, perhaps because of medications or certain health conditions, safety becomes essential. I've installed motion-activated nightlights, creating a clear path to my bathroom. I keep a sturdy chair beside my bed to steady myself before standing. Since adjusting my fluid timing, I've enjoyed more refreshing, uninterrupted sleep. That morning brain fog I used to dismiss as just aging has lifted considerably. My friend Louise told me, for the first time in years, I'm waking up feeling like myself again, not exhausted before the day even begins. I think about my friend Margaret often. I wonder if knowing about these 4 bedtime habits might have changed her story. Would she still be here planning that cruise, baking with her great-grandchildren? We'll never know for certain, but I'm determined that her passing won't be in vain. These 4 habits, sleeping in problematic positions, keeping bedrooms too warm, eating heavy late meals, and drinking too much before bed, might seem like small matters, but they can truly make the difference between waking up refreshed or facing serious health emergencies during the night. Tonight, I invite you to join me in making just one change. Perhaps try sleeping on your left side instead of your back, or lower your thermostat just a few degrees. Then share your experience in the comments below. I read every single one. Subscribe to our channel for more wisdom that might just help you enjoy these golden years with the health and vitality you deserve. After all, we've earned this precious time in our lives, and with these simple adjustments, we can make the most of every single day we're blessed to have. Remember, it's never too late to make changes that might just save your life. I made these changes at 75, and I only wish I'd known sooner. Do it for yourself. Do it for those who love you and want you around for many more years to come.